So there is this narrative going around when it comes to the greatest goal scorer of all time, Alex Ovechkin. He has been undeniably struggling this year. He has 5 goals in 24 games, which is putting him on pace to score 17 goals this year. Now that would obviously be the lowest of his career by a significant margin. The only other time he scored fewer than 30 goals in a season is 2020-2021, when he scored 24 goals in 45 games, which would be a 44-goal pace over an entire 82-game season. So he is having an unprecedentedly bad season, and so naturally everybody has taken that to mean that he has fallen off, he's washed, his career is over, he'll never catch Gretzky. People are saying he looks slow and disinterested. And I have to say, as somebody who has watched Alex Ovechkin not only for every game this year, but for his entire 19-year career, that might be the biggest load of bullshit that I have ever heard. Because ignoring the fact that Alex Ovechkin is one of the hungriest competitors in the entire league, and he has been an elite goal scorer for his entire career up until this year, there's not really any evidence to suggest that Ovechkin has just completely fallen off a cliff in terms of production, but rather what there is plenty of evidence for is that he's gotten extremely unlucky through these first 24 games of the season, and goals are probably going to be coming by the bunches soon. But let's address the biggest knock against Ovechkin this year, which is that he looks noticeably slower than he has earlier in his career. And to that I would say, you're right, but also it doesn't really matter. Yes, according to the NHL Edge statistics, Ovechkin's skating has been far below average of most other forwards. But you want to know something really interesting? That was also the case last year. You know, the year when he scored 42 goals in 73 games. And even the year before that when he scored 50 goals, he wasn't exactly a speed demon. The point is that Ovi hasn't really relied on his speed and transition game as a means of scoring goals in quite a few years. Gone are the days when you would see him taking pucks coast to coast, going through guys and around guys to score breakaway goals. Now he tends to do it a lot more from the power play in his office, obviously, but also by getting deflections and rebounds, scoring more of the gritty, grimy goals around the net. That's been the case for the last few years, and so it would be appropriate to ask if those types of goals that he's been scoring recently have changed. And the answer is, yeah, they are not going in. And while that's kind of a no-duh, what I mean by that is Ovechkin's getting the same kind of chances that he has gotten the last few years, but he's just had bad luck. For instance, let's take a look at his shot, which has been one of his most deadly weapons over his career. His top shot speed has gone down year over year, but is still in the 93rd percentile of all NHL forwards. He's still one of the most lethal shooters in the game. And yeah, his top shot speed has gone down year over year, but he's still hammering pucks at high velocity at rates far beyond most forwards. The shot is still there, but the problem is that the Caps power play has just been absolutely abysmal, something we'll get into a little bit later. So he still has his lethal shot, which he's had for years, but what about the high danger, grimy scoring chances? Well, the answer is yes, he's getting a lot of high danger scoring chances, 16 on the year, which is the 77th percentile. He's also getting a lot of medium danger scoring chances too. He's in the 98th percentile of forwards when it comes to mid-range scoring chances. Ovechkin's always been a shot volume guy throughout his career. He's led the NHL in shots in a number of years, and this year he has 88 shots in 24 games, which is top 25 among all forwards. So he's still getting the number of looks from in tight and in high danger scoring areas that he's gotten the last few years. What's changed? Literally, it's just that pucks are not going in. His shooting percentage in high danger scoring areas is 6.2, which is in the sub 50th percentile. Ditto for medium danger scoring chances, where he has a 5.4 shooting percentage. For reference, last year in high danger scoring chances, he had a 17.3% shooting percentage, and in medium danger, it was 14.6. And those scoring percentages weren't even abnormally high. It's not just that Ovechkin is shooting worse from in tight in those higher danger scoring areas, he's shooting abysmally from those areas. This year, his overall shooting percentage is 5.7, which is obviously the lowest of his career, but did you know that he's only had a shooting percentage below 10 one time in his 19-year career? And that was an 8.7% shooting percentage in 2010-2011. So if Ovechkin was shooting at the level of his worst season of his career before this year, he would have between 7 and 8 goals. In fact, he has a minus 4.9 goals above expected, which basically if he had just average shooting talent and was facing average goaltending, he should have 5 more goals than he has this year. He should double his goal scoring, which would be 10, which is, still not amazing, but it would put him on pace for 34 goals this year, and nobody would be losing their minds over it. And to put a fine pin on this argument, I'd like to turn to a stat that's called relative expected goals percentage. Basically, if there was a stat to measure who is the most valuable player in the NHL, this would be it. It's a measure of how much more or less a team is expected to score goals versus getting scored on when a particular player is on the ice versus when he is not. The top 10 is littered with elite players like Jack Hughes, Nathan MacKinnon, Artemi Panarin, Kirill Kaprizov, and Alex Ovechkin is 6th overall in relative expected goal percentage. He, more than anybody else, gives his team a better chance to score when he is on the ice versus when he is not. So in short, there are really two explanations for why Alex Ovechkin hasn't scored this year. If you want to choose to believe that he has completely lost his scoring touch over the course of one summer, which has led to him having the worst shooting percentage of his entire career by a wide margin, including those at high scoring chance areas, and despite the fact that he has not lost that much off of his shot, which is his primary weapon, you can feel free to do that. Or you can acknowledge that Alex Ovechkin is getting unlucky, facing a lot of goaltenders who are stealing goals from him, and that over time, he is probably going to start scoring again at a clip at least close to what he was last year.